In the chaotic streets of Los Santos, where crime reigns and corruption festers, two government agencies, the FIB and the IAA, are locked in a power struggle. Beneath the surface of this sprawling metropolis, a secret war rages. A war fought not with guns or fists, but with information, manipulation, and deceit.
The FIB, also known as the Federal Investigation Bureau, are a thinly veiled parody of the real-world FBI. Much like the real-life FBI, the FIB operates as an internal intelligence agency and federal criminal investigative body. In Grand Theft Auto V, we see the FIB mainly focus on domestic problems, enforcing federal law and investigating crimes in San Andreas. After achieving 100% completion, players might notice UFOs hovering above San Andreas, marked with the FIB's initials, hinting at their involvement in mysterious, far-reaching, and even extraterrestrial activities. According to Lester Crest, the FIB has gone so far as to frame innocent taxi drivers for terrorism, torture civil rights activists, and have ruined the best parts of the internet. The International Affairs Agency, or IAA, operates as a covert counterpart to the FIB in Grand Theft Auto V. Modeled after the CIA, the IAA is involved in international espionage, covert operations, and high-stakes intelligence missions. Whilst they do mainly specialize in international matters, they also operate domestically within San Andreas, targeting anti-American activities coming from inside the country, with a strong focus on terrorist organizations in Los Santos. Throughout the game, the IAA is shown engaging in shadowy dealings, including global surveillance and attempts to influence geopolitical events. Their rivalry with the FIB is a central theme for the main story, with both agencies often competing for control over sensitive operations, reflecting the power struggles between real-world intelligence agencies. So what led to the feud between the two government agencies? It's evident that both the FIB and IAA are competing for increased funding, with each agency's budget seemingly tied to how much the other receives.
The funding war between IAA and FIB intensifies after Congress promised to slash spending and both agencies recommend it's the other one.
Throughout Grand Theft Auto V, there are subtle hints suggesting that both organizations are facing financial constraints. These budgetary struggles are likely due to a reduction in defense and security funding by Congress, as reported by Weasel News. They are often described as the twin pillars of our national security, but now the FIB and IAA have found a new enemy: each other. Following calls for balanced budgets and a proposed reduction in defense and security funding, both agencies have been lobbying hard in the Capitol recently to explain why their budget should stay intact. Both agencies criticized the other and blamed them for America's problems domestically and overseas. Neither would do so on the record. The FIB and IAA are at odds with each other, driven by competition. Every crime one agency stops is a missed opportunity for the other to take credit, fueling their rivalry and desire for control.
There's a big target out there, something in the shadows. The data algorithms are reading off the charts. Whoever finds it, the Bureau or the agency, is gonna get a big bump in funding.
Like I care about your funding. I'm out, Dave.
These agencies are more focused on appearing effective in the fight against crime than on actually preventing it. Their main concern is maintaining a public image of success, often prioritizing recognition over results. This is what starts the secret war between the FIB and IAA that Michael, Franklin, and Trevor are roped into during the main story of the game. Early in the game, the IAA kidnaps a suspected terrorist, Ferdinand Karimov, referred to as Mr. K in the story, and stages his death to effectively erase him from official records. The IAA then relocates him to their headquarters to torture and interrogate Mr. K so they can get enough information to stop the terrorists he's associated with before the FIB can. Deceived by the IAA's staged death of Ferdinand, FIB agent Dave Norton sends Michael DeSanta to break into a morgue to identify the suspect. Unsurprisingly, Michael fails to find Ferdinand, as he isn't actually dead.
I found the toe tag. Ferdinand Karimov. It's on some big black lady. Definitely not your guy.
Dave and his superior, Steve Haynes, catch wind of the IAA's shady tactic and order Michael to abduct Mr. K from the IAA headquarters during an ongoing torture session with the help of Trevor Phillips and Franklin Clinton. After capturing Ferdinand, Steve Haynes orders Trevor Phillips to torture Mr. K to extract information not only about the terrorists they are pursuing, but also to uncover what Mr. K shared with the IAA, highlighting the rivalry between the two agencies.
You're a fucking spy. And the asswipes at the agency know this. So I need to know, what did you tell them, and what did they tell you?
It's important to note that Mr. K was likely not a spy and was willing to cooperate from the start.
Hey. Now? Huh? Now you ready to talk?
I got kidnapped.
Shortly after, Haynes and Norton enlist the protagonists to rob the IAA. Their target is an armored car loaded with cash obtained from drug sales. The crew pull off the heist and give these funds to a good and very wealthy associate of the FIB, Devin Weston. It is unclear what happens to these funds after this point, but it's safe to assume they somehow get requisitioned to the FIB. The next time we see the FIB, Haynes and Norton once again rope our protagonists into stealing from the IAA. This time, they infiltrate a research lab in the countryside, where the IAA is developing a deadly nerve toxin intended to be given to terrorists.
Let's go save America! Who the fuck are we saving it from this time?
This is the real deal. My sources are convinced there's a plot in international affairs, you know, the agency, and they're using this facility to make a serious nerve toxin.
Bullshit!
Yeah, which they plan in their mind-blowing insanity to let a major terrorist release on a metropolitan area so they can continue to get funding. Nothing increases funding for fighting terrorism more than successful acts of terrorism.
The IAA's goal was to heighten the perceived threat of terrorism, prompting the government to allocate more funding to the IAA, which focuses on counterterrorism efforts. Steve Haynes and Dave Norton assist Michael, Trevor, and Franklin and successfully steal the toxin from the research lab. Afterwards, it is reported in the news that the vial that the FIB stole was actually perfume.
Some highly trained thieves raided a research lab yesterday in order to steal perfume. Several men were killed as raiders carried out an audacious attack that has confused the lab's owners and criminal investigators, as the robbers escaped with a new formula for cheap perfume, and no one is quite sure why.
However, the fact they were met with heavy resistance, and even the military, it's likely this was just a cover-up story that the IAA leaked into the media. The final time we see the FIB and IAA's conflict is in the mission wrap-up where Steve attempts to arrest Michael and is ambushed by the IAA.
Put the weapons down, boys! Fun time is over! We've got you!
This turns into a giant Mexican standoff between the two agencies and Merryweather. Corruption runs deep in both agencies, but who is truly more corrupt, the FIB or the IAA? The FIB, led by agents like Steve Haynes, takes the spotlight with its blatant abuse of power, media manipulation, and its shameless exploitation of the protagonists. Meanwhile, the IAA operates in the shadows. Though less visible, their corruption runs just as deep. Let's break down the corrupt actions of each organization, starting with the FIB. Since we only see things from the perspective of the protagonists, it's hard to fully grasp the depth of the FIB's corruption. However, as a powerful figure within the Bureau, even starring in his own reality TV show, Steve Haynes is the perfect example of how far it goes. He's highly corrupt and willing to sacrifice anyone for his own personal gain. Haynes relies on blackmail and intimidation to force Michael, Trevor, and Franklin into doing his dirty work. One example is when he has Trevor torture a seemingly innocent man who was ready to talk without the violence. Alongside another FIB agent, Dave Norton, Steve has Michael orchestrate multiple robberies to raise funds for the FIB, leading to numerous police deaths. He even pressures Michael to break into the FIB building to erase any files they have on him, as people within the Bureau start questioning Steve's shady behavior. After Michael does as he's told, Steve tries to have him arrested, ensuring he can't testify about the blackmail and corruption, showing he sees others as nothing more than tools he can use for his own personal gain to then dispose of once they are no longer needed. Now onto the IAA. They're notorious for using extreme interrogation methods on their captives.
Next, I'll have this thing so far up your ass, your tonsils will be playing shadow puppets. Get the lube. Actually, fuck the lube. Let's dry dock it.
Much like the FIB, in Grand Theft Auto Online, the IAA is shown exploiting criminals for off-the-books missions, using blackmail, intimidation, or money as motivation. Not only that, but they are known for manipulating the San Andreas drug market by allowing motorcycle clubs to sell their products in the state and taking a cut of the profits. Their most shocking plan? Developing and selling nerve toxins to terrorists, aiming to create chaos in Los Santos, only to step in, defeat the terrorist group, and take all the credit. Although the game's story limits how much we can see of each agency's corruption, it's clear that both the FIB and IAA are deeply corrupt, with little to no moral code. Thank you for watching. If I missed anything or got something wrong, don't be shy to comment to let me know. Be sure to like and subscribe for more Grand Theft Auto 5 content like this.